Hey everybody, hey, welcome back to the 53206 cast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Meg.
And Meg, this is a podcast.
It is.
Meg, I kind of want to talk about the one thing that you hate talking about.
Is it some sort of journey?
Journey. Oh, like a social justice journey.
Yeah,
no,
social
it is
justice
not.
journey.
It
That's
is not.
that's your thing.
No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't understand what the journey is.
We're all on a social justice journey.
Where are you going?
You're trying to get better at being socially just. I don't understand how you don't understand it. We do a podcast on social justice.
Well, I'm not talking about the journey.
Okay. All right. So what?
Although it would be interesting, we're not talking about this today, but it would be interesting to talk about the destination. And actually, maybe we are going to talk about this. So you and I have, and we may just end up deleting all of this because you might come to me later and say I hated talking about this and I never want to talk about it again.
I can't wait for this. It's great.
Okay.
You know how much I love conflict. I mean, this is going to be great.
All right. So when I listen to people talk about our society.
Mm-hmm.
So I think society probably is just the way that we all interact with one another and the systems and structures we have, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. I hear people use, and I'm not an expert in this phrase, so it may mean something different. This is just what I think it means. I don't know if anybody really told me what it means, but I hear people use the phrase meritocracy. Do you know what meritocracy?
I don't.
Okay. So, and this is where the potential conflict is going to come in. So, some people believe or wish that we lived in a meritocracy.
Okay.
Where your success in life is based on the merit that you expel out into the world.
Okay.
So if you work hard, you're successful.
Yeah.
You know, that basically would be the thought process. I know that you hate talking about that because you look around the neighborhood and you say, well, there's people that work hard here all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about meritocracy today.
Okay.
Because sometimes I think we do live in one, and then sometimes I don't.
Okay.
Like, you know, I was talking to a guy today. He's like in his first year as an electrician.
Okay.
If he works hard, and not even work, like if he seems to be very intelligent, and he seems to be a hard worker. He interfaces with other human beings well. He should be very successful. Yeah. Electrician is one of the fastest growing or the most in-demand fields that there are.
Okay.
A robot can't yet run wire. Yeah. Right? Like a robot can make your marketing campaign in 2 seconds on ChatGPT, whatever. But it can't rewire your house yet. So, okay, so you need data centers for all this AI stuff. Like that's where all this demand is coming from.
Thank you for putting that together. I was
you're going to build a giant data center up in Port Washington that's going to use all this power. Well, somebody's got to run the wires for the power.
Okay, that would make sense why an electrician is in need.
Yeah, and many of them are like my dad. They're retiring, and they haven't been like the pace at which we need electricians hasn't been met with people going into the field.
Okay.
Right?
This is
a
shortage.
This is podcast about being an electrician. It's not. So, like, for him, regardless of where he's from, he can and likely will be successful if he continues to go down the path of being an electrician. So there's that, so I hold that truth in my head. And I think there are probably we got this 20 kids that I could go down my list and name that are 16, 17, or 18 that I could say, hey, if you did this, and a lot of it's like, well, do you actually want to do this?
Yeah.
But if you did this, child, you could also be making $100,000 a year, $150,000, $200,000 a year being an electrician. You could do that, and it will all be based on how you interact at work, whether you can show up, if you can do the little bit of math. It's actually probably a fair amount of math, but if you can show up, you can do the math, and you can do the work, and you can do it at a high level or constantly be getting better over the time where you're an apprentice, that you should be able to be more than self-sufficient out in the marketplace, right? So I see that, and I'm like, well, okay, we have gotten to the point where maybe a meritocracy is more possible maybe than it has been in the past. 50 years ago, depending on what you looked like, it would be very challenging to say that we lived in one, because if you looked one way, you were given the benefit of being able to be in a program to become an electrician, and now it's much less relevant.
Does it cost money to be? I know this isn't a podcast about being an electrician, but
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, you go to school. Depending, some companies, they are so in need that they've developed their own training programs within their own company. Some other pathways that people will take is to go to the MATC, and enroll in the courses. So, there's a cost. There is a cost. I do not know, however, if the cost exceeds, and I would guess that it probably doesn't exceed the amount of grant funding that would be available through like FAFSA or something like that for someone, for anyone to take part of one of those programs. So and Megan, this is always the thing that you and I think of all the things that you and I disagree with the most. I think that this might be it, and I'm not trying to convince you in one way or the other, because I like the tension that it creates.
And I'm already writing down.
Oh, okay. Well, what are you writing down? I'm interested.
Well, I feel like there was this incredible podcast that I just shared with you the other day. It was What Now with Trevor Noah.
Okay, I think I listened to it.
Eliza Philby talked, and I'm probably not saying that right, but she was incredible.
She was British.
She was British, yeah. And I don't know if you guys listen to Trevor Noah, but I find him to just he has been around the world, so he can see things from different angles. But it was all about how hard work does not get you anything. It's really who you know, and it's your network. And so I think that's the thing that I'm not seeing. Yeah, you can work hard and you can go to MATC, but if your network doesn't have anybody that has an electrician in it, you're not going to be an electrician, because you don't even know where to get started with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if you were, so there's all of these, let me go back to that.
Sure.
So when I think about the different ways that we could organize ourselves, we could be a communist, where a society where you're just told what you go do, and everyone is given the same ration of whatever
money.
So of all the different ways that we could decide to organize ourselves, I'm currently in favor of the meritocracy.
You like the meritocracy because you like working hard.
Well, but I also,
I don't like working hard, so I don't like the meritocracy. No, I'm just kidding.
But I do in some ways think that in order for someone to have their own destiny and autonomy, they have to be in charge of that destiny and autonomy, and you as an individual have to go make that for yourself. It's not going to be made for you.
And I think what you probably like from a meritocracy is, you have always said that, how do you get yourself out of poverty? Education and being able to get in a lane that you maybe weren't in, and you can do that through education. So I somewhat agree with you that it's not horrible, but it's not going to work for everyone, because they don't see being an electrician even as an option if they don't have anybody that they know, or they don't know how to get started. Yeah,
and that would be, so if we were going to arrive at a system, and it's never perfect, but if we were going to arrive at
being socially just, being
you know why I don't like the social justice journey?
Sure. Tell me.
Because we don't ever talk about, what does it look like at the end? So what it looks like at the end for me is kid from the neighborhood that goes to the garden and that they don't have to go to the garden, but
Sure.
like a kid from the neighborhood that has gone to the garden that shows some ability to learn a task and can complete a task, has the potential, possibly even some kind of leadership. It doesn't even have to be like leading people, but like getting work done.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that person should have all the access and ability to go do XYZ thing. I like that you pointed out that the network, that your social network or like the network of people, whatever, being limited is one of the, or that could be one of the limiting factors. I like that you pointed that out because I actually think that's an easy thing for anybody else who has a network to be willing to expand their network to include
you're right.
maybe somebody that isn't already in their network. And, if you're very specifically like picking out, people from disadvantaged communities and including them in your network, now they automatically have their network expanded and they could be a part of, whatever the advantages of a meritocracy would afford them.
Sure. Yeah.
So, because there will be a time where the world or the United States or Milwaukee is more socially just than it is today.
Yes.
Because today it is more socially just than it was 200 years ago.
Back when there was redlining. Yeah, or 200 years ago, yeah.
And the logic of that says, okay, well, it will continue to become more in that direction than it is currently, which is why, Meg, I hear all these people talk about how terrible the world is and how just like, it's just almost like, I'm going off on a tangent here for a second, but, we listen to a lot of people talk on podcasts.
Sure.
Watch things on TikTok, and, you hear people say like the state of the world.
Yes.
And like when someone says that, they are like saying that the, they're not saying that the state of the world is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're almost saying it in a way like we all agree that the state of the world is terrible and all these terrible things are happening.
I feel like that's probably the only thing that like Democrats and Republicans can agree on.
Right. But then why don't you just make it better?
Yeah.
Right. But to me, I don't actually see the state of the world as terrible. I actually think our neighborhood is becoming slowly, I think, slightly more prosperous than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I do think it's becoming so semi-organically. I don't think like anybody's like throwing large sums of money and making it happen. I think that it's you think back in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of gang activity in our neighborhood and a lot of really terrible racial issues that were taking place. And I think that those things are less and less and less. And, you and a group of people put together this thing for We Got This. And, there's all sorts of businesses and organizations that are like, someone needs coats. Yes, we will put a box out for coats.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll throw in a bunch of, I'll business owner is saying to themselves, I'll go buy 20 coats and throw them in there. And, now I know you guys do stuff in the summertime. How can I be involved in the summertime? And, you're telling me that you've got to send out all these thank you notes, and the list of thank you notes for people or businesses that have donated throughout the year is long.
Yes.
To the point where you're like, I don't really want to send out all these thank you notes. Right. So it's like there are people that are working hard against the narrative that things are terrible. And in fact, when we're organized and working in the same direction towards maybe some greater organic prosperity in a neighborhood like ours, that to me says, okay, we're working on making something better to the point where, 16-year-old who can work with their hands may actually be on the path to having a career where they can be self-sustaining. Because that's really all we're really looking for is, can you as a 22-year-old, can you have a skill that you can go out into the world and make enough money to pay your rent and food and get a car?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy or ridiculous, but like, can you, then if you decide you want to get married, within your household, can your household bring in $100,000 a
Yeah.
year for the two of you. Like,
Well,
that should be
Yeah.
easily attainable for everybody.
And I really like that I've never thought this before, that if one of the reasons that, people can't, move out of poverty, let's just take that example. One of the reasons people can't move out of poverty is their network. That's not unfixable. Like, we can
No.
we can all join groups of people who are part of the group that is in poverty, and there are enough nonprofits in the world for you to be in close proximity with somebody who isn't in your economic sphere, that we can make this change isn't actually that hard.
Well, and again, this is probably super naive, and I'm not. This is very overgeneralized, but 200 years ago, a group of people were forced into poverty, physically forced into it, right? And then at some point, they were no longer forced into poverty, but they were held in
You're saying
poverty.
like because they were slaves.
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure I got that.
And then it went from you're forced into poverty to being, well, we hate you and we are going to
Limit you with everything.
We're going to limit you with everything, and then we're going to keep you in poverty because of our hatred of you. And then it moved to, well, we're going to keep you in poverty because we're afraid of you.
Yeah.
And we're going to stay away from
Yeah.
you, and we're going to
have this narrative,
redlining,
and we're gonna have this narrative around inner city spaces where people don't want to go there because it's too scary.
right? And now, some of those things, they do still exist because
Yes,
there's
all sorts of people are on the spectrum.
Of-
like
right.
the bell curve of.
There's many people who are, farther along on their social justice journey.
Yes.
And there's people on both ends of that, but if it may be possible that one of the things that is like keeping people in poverty is that their network is what it is. And I mean, that's a very real and very true thing. That 100% is. If I wanted to be a web designer, being married to a web designer would be something that'd be very valuable.
Yeah, they on this podcast again. I'd really recommend go and listen to the What Now with Trevor Noah with Eliza Philby. But they said that the most common denominator for becoming a professional athlete. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, your parent was a. I did listen.
You listened to it.
I had heard that. I had heard that before this podcast.
Your parent was, because they know the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they can from when you're very little, they can help you train and get you in the right program and get you in the mindset of what it would take to be a professional athlete. Yeah, of course.
But I feel like it's just very similar with I think we're trying to work with our student leaders at We Got This. Okay, like talking with them about college from an early on age, and what are you going to do with your life, and having these conversations, because their parents might not be having those conversations. And it's always, I feel like as a parent, I'm like, can one more person tell my kids something good? Because like we all
and a parent isn't always our kids don't typically do what we say,
and they don't want to listen to us, but they'll want to listen to their
aunt.
But
if my sister tells them the same exact thing, they're like, oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It works both ways, because then you can say that to her kids. And
yes.
It all works out. But so and I hopefully nothing that I said was overly offensive in my dumbed down and simplified way of explaining that. But I mean, I think like if we were going to continue to move towards a setup in a scenario where if you work hard, you can be more successful than someone that doesn't work hard. Well, that's just open and available to anyone.
And I think when we talk about this, and I feel like I want to say like that was very dumbed down, and so like there's probably something wrong with it. But I think when we're thinking of like the overarching ideas of poverty, and we're thinking of the tangled knot of poverty. Like that's one, that's one of the threads.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can help with one of the threads and we can help entangle that one thread, then we're closer to, not having poverty in Milwaukee.
Yeah. If for whatever reason 53206 produced the most electricians per capita in the world, this wouldn't be the poorest zip code in the state anymore because they would all be employed immediately.
Yeah.
And as long as they're average or above average or maybe even slightly below average at it, like you'll make a ridiculous amount of money and always have work.
Yeah.
And then, if you have those skills and you can do that and you find yourself in poverty, well, it's on you and it's not because of the family you were born into or the neighborhood you were born into. It's based on your merit.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, I do, when you kind of told me about that podcast and you made me listen to it.
Because it was so good.
It was great. It was great.
You're like mad that I made you listen to it. It was so good.
It was good. I was happy to listen to it. Yeah. But yeah, I think, when you're thinking about, okay, well, how do you interface with the poorest zip code in the state? Well, or like, how do you add value to that?
Yeah.
Like supporting We Got This is great or any other nonprofit. But I wouldn't discount the ability to, or like your own ability to expand your network to include somebody else. Especially, it's so much easier. I know I hate like, Meg, you've said this week you were texting me because you hate conflict and you knew some adults were going to ask about work for We Got This. And We Got This only pays adults 12 times a year. We don't pay adults.
And that's just in the summer.
In the summer.
Yeah, on the Saturdays.
And so it was like easy. We'll just say that. But, it is like so much easier to steer the course of someone's life, like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then like 19, 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
Like that 8 years, that's the trajectory. Like, there are some 40-year-olds that, drastically change what they do and how they interact with the world and get education and all those things. But I mean, really, like the sweet spot is like you're just about to be an adult, or you've already sort of arrived at being an adult,
you're
and
starting
you're figuring
to
out what you're doing.
Make some decisions about your life.
You make some decisions about your life, and you're not there yet, but you're
dabbling.
You're thinking about it, right? Yeah, and so if you're a listener, and Meg, we've had some new. We still have. It's kind of neat to see, but we still have some new listeners to the podcast. So if you are a listener, you're like, okay, well, how can I do that for somebody? Well, if you run a business or you work at a business, or I'm like super in tune to when I meet a young person, 25, 30, whatever. Not even just people from the garden, but I like to know where they're from, because I know if they're from here, well, there's a pretty good chance that they've come. I mean, they've been born into a disadvantaged neighborhood, and I just inherently want to root for them
and cheer them on and help them get to the next get to wherever they're trying to go,
which I think that's all really a network is. It's just the people that are like, oh yeah, I like what you're doing, I want to help you do it. A lot of times they don't really help you, but they're just like, oh yeah, you could do that, or you bounce an idea off of somebody. And I mean, the number of times where I've talked to somebody about something I'm thinking about, and they're like, oh yeah, that's easy, just go do it. And it's like, because it is. It's hard, but you start down a path, and all of a sudden you realize, well, that wasn't actually that hard.
Well, and I feel like I've talked about the young woman who she's still trying to get her GED, and I just text her all the time saying, hey, thinking about you, hope you're doing good, and I'm not doing much, I'm just your cheerleader, So I think that is something that we all need. I know, like, my mom is always telling me how great I am, and I'm like, that's really nice. It's really nice to have somebody cheer you on. Yeah. But I think too, like when we're thinking about this, like proximity is really important. And so how do you, if you don't know somebody, just look out for it. You're going to find somebody. And I think when our eyes are open to, okay, I want to be in proximity with that, you'll find it. And if not, go, there's a lot of great nonprofits, and nonprofits are usually doing good work. And go, I know tutoring at schools, like that's an easy one. You got some time, go tutor at schools. They're always looking for tutors.
Yeah. All right. Well, about ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
You got anything you want to plug?
I just want to plug that that podcast, that What Now with Trevor Noah. It's great. I feel like it was a really great one, and it expanded my mind a little bit.
All right.
So,
well, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.